Hello and welcome to Deck Advice Part 2. So if you didn't watch Part 1, I will have an annotation up somewhere on the screen. You can click that, and I would suggest doing so just because I'm probably going to reference that video a lot, but you don't have to. And I'd also suggest if you're a newer player to click and watch that video before coming here. But go watch that video, come back, and now we're going to get into this video. So I've played matches. I had my really rough deck, Banebow, and over here, I have the edited deck. It is 43 cards plus the hero, which I think is incorrect, so I might be missing a card, but that's okay. So I got Banebow, and as you can see, I still have just one copy of a lot of the allies. I'm playing with them, and, I'm making decisions, I'm forming opinions, but I still need to play with the allies more to start figuring out what I like. I did change some of the allies. I've got Magma Jackal in here now, Wolven Savage, Karos, and I've taken out Rust Weevil and, what was the other one I took out? Marauder or Blood Marauder. I didn't like those cards, Okay, so allies, I'm still kind of playing around, trying to figure out what I want to do with the allies, which ones I like better, which one I like with Banebow. But the other cards, this is where I'm starting to kind of figure out what I want this deck to be. So now, last time I had 2 Prides of the Mountain and 2 Wraths of the Forest. Now I have 4 Wrath of the Forest. It's better. I'm liking it better. I still have 4 Sacrificial Lamb, and I think those cards work great together. I had 3 weapons. I like Soul Seeker the best. I played games. That was obvious very quickly. So I'm playing with Soul Seeker now. As we talked about, I mentioned maybe putting in some Shriek of Vengeances. So, now I've got 3. I did play other matches, and Acid Jet was helpful. Perfect Shot was helpful. Poison Arrow was helpful. The only cards I'm kind of sitting on is Flaming Arrow and Leyline Nexus here. I'm still trying to decide whether I want to put that card in the deck, if I want to leave it out. Does Poison Arrow really take care of Flaming Arrow? Do I really need Leyline Nexus in the deck when I have Shrieks of Vengeance and Acid Jet? I don't know. I'm still debating, trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm playing more matches. But as you can see, it's starting to get to a point where you're seeing some cards that are going to end up in the final deck once we're all finished. But so here's the deck. So if you haven't watched the other video, basically what I like to do, I'll explain real quick, is I like to put 1 copy of each card, and then depending on what I like and what I don't like, I start to slowly kind of edit the deck and add what I like and take out what I don't like. So here's the deck. Here's what we have. The only last thing I want to point out is, Shadow heroes don't really necessarily have cost for allies, while as the human heroes are more likely to. And in the last deck I didn't have any, and in this deck we have Magma Jackal and Wolven Savage, which are 2 cards I haven't played around a lot with. So we're adding them to my deck and seeing how they play out. So yeah, let's get into a match over here then real quick, and let's see who we're playing. Let's see what kind of hero we're playing, and we can start making decisions from there. If we get match, okay. So we are playing against a Serena, so that's an interesting matchup. She's kind of depends. She can play a lot of different decks, I will say. The person is Nightblade Tuba, I think. I can't really read it. It's like white, but it looks like Nightblade Tuba. So hello, Nightblade Tuba. So we're getting these cards here. Now I'm looking at my cards, and Serena's probably going to have weapons, so I'm going to want to keep this Acid Jet, and I'm going to want to keep this Shriek of Vengeance for her ill-gotten gains. And I'm looking, and I don't really like sacrificing any of these cards. But I think we are going to get rid of the Bad Wolf. Why? I have to get rid of a card. And like I said, it's not been my favorite card in this deck. So, I sacrifice it. I'm not liking it as much when I play it. So I'm choosing to sacrifice it. And so, that might be a card that gets removed from the deck quickly. Once I start really focusing on allies more than I have been. Okay, now we get a Wrath of Forest, so I'm going to want to keep that. That is my draw. I know that's going to be very helpful. Now I'm looking, so I want the Death Mage Thaddeus, I want the Shriek of Vengeance, I want the Acid Jet, I want the Wrath of the Forest, and I want the Soul Seeker. So my only really options here are I avoid Leviathan and Darkwood Wraith. And I think I'm going to get rid of the Leviathan here. I like the Dark Wraith better, even though it has a lower attack. The I avoid or EO, however you're supposed to pronounce that, Void Leviathan, hasn't been the best card. I can see that as being a better card maybe in a Moonstalker deck, but it hasn't been helping me as much as I have wanted it to. So he does play a Black Garb, and I get a Leyline Nexus. Now, okay, you might be thinking, well, Serena's going to have Ankle Breaker, she's going to have maybe that Fan of Blades, and other things. You want to keep that Leyline Nexus, but I've been liking Acid Jet more than Leyline Nexus. So, I think I'm going to sacrifice the Leyline Nexus. And, I've been kind of working that card out of my deck. So we're going to look here. There's no reason to destroy the Black Garb in play right now because it's not really affecting me. And I really need to get an ally out. So we are going to play the Death Mage Thaddeus. And if you see here, I'll be able to play it, damage the Pewin one, and I'll be able to use my ability to get rid of that Pewin, which is going to be very helpful. And, I'm making a note of that right now. Oh my gosh, that really helped. Death Mage Thaddeus is a helpful card. It's a good card, It's, I'm thinking, wow, that should probably be an ally I have in this deck. So that's a lot of what this is. Now, I've kind of started to work down the other cards, and so now I'm really thinking on allies. I understand how he plays with Wrath of Forest, with Poison Arrow, with the cards I have in there. And, so basically, because I have those cards I want to be in the deck. Now, they might not be, the same number. It might go down to 2, it might go up to 4, I don't know. But we'll play with the numbers later. Right now, I'm just trying to get an idea of what cards I actually want in my deck. So we did get a Death Collector here. And the thing we're going to do is we are going to get rid of this Soul Seeker. Because I have 2 other ones, and it's really the only card I feel good enough sacrificing right here. Now we do have 2. Well, you know what? First thing I'm going to do is attack Serena. I guess just so I don't forget. Now we have 2 options here. We can play, different things, but I like to get out my draw. So we are going to play Wrath of Forest. And you know what I just realized? There is no music. So let's end my turn, and let's turn on the music real quick. How about? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. And let me adjust the volume. Okay. So that's fine. But I like to get out my draw. So my Blood Frenzy, the ones that stay on the board. The Bad Santas and Sacrificial Lambs are obviously situational. Now she is going to get an Ankle Breaker, and she is going to use her ability and attack me. So I discard Acid Jet, which is unfortunate because that is a card I really want there. Now we have a couple of options. I want to have this Shriek of Vengeance for her Black Garb because, I don't know how else I'm going to deal with that. She's not going to be able to use her ability. Okay, so I want to get this Ironhide Crash out, but I don't necessarily want to skip, so I am going to get rid of this Darkwood Wraith, so I am able to play the Ironhide Crash and the Death Collector. Using up all your resources is good practice. You don't want to get too obsessed with using them all up, but you also don't want to be wasting multiple resources every turn. And I have 3 allies out. She's only got 2 cards, and I do have my draw out, so if she decides to kill anything, I'll be getting cards. And, she's got to make a decision on who she wants to disable with her Ankle Breaker. Now, she's probably going to choose, the Death Collector, but we'll see. She does play an Armored Sandworm. which I will be able to injure with my ability quite nicely. And she is going to disable the Death Mage Thaddeus, probably because he can attack Serena here. We are going to skip. You know, once you get to about 5 resources, you want to keep that. You know, you don't want to skip. Or, okay, once you get to 5 resources, you're pretty okay with not sacrificing any more cards at that point. Now, we do have a couple of options here. And I think what I am going to do is destroy that Black Garb with my Shriek of Vengeance. And, you know, playing this Flaming Arrow onto the Sandworm is not going to do anything. So, I am going to use Death Collector's ability here. And I'm making a note of, you know, Death Collector is nice because I can use his ability when I have no cards in my hand to play. Okay, good to know. We are going to attack straight away with the Ironhide Crash because it is not going to disable. The Ankle Breaker isn't going to disable it. And we have 2 options here. We can use my ability, but I think I'm going to hold off on it because I'm not going to be able to kill the Armored Sandworm, and he might play another ally out that I'd rather attack it with. And we can also attack the Armored Sandworm with the Death Collector here. Which, you know, I don't really like doing, but I might. I'm trying to think of a lot of things. You know, we are going to do that. Okay, and the reason we're doing that here is because I think no matter what, she is attacking the Death Collector with the Ankle Breaker. And I want to start damaging that Armored Sandworm and get it out. I can already do an automatic 2 damage with my ability. And, you know, I just don't see her using her ability here and coming after me. I see her coming after one of my allies and maybe holding onto that Shadow Energy. And, you know, I don't want to disable that Death Collector quite yet. Plus, I do have the Flaming Arrow in my hand, so if she does play, you know, an ally, I can always deal with that. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff going in my mind about the decision, you know, all the time. You know, Ankle Breaker is one of the most frustrating cards because, you know, you never know whether to attack it or not. So is Stop Thief because it's destroying my draw, and, you know, there's not a lot of I can do about it. Now, she does use her ability here, which I think is interesting. We'll see if she kills the Death Collector if she goes after me. If she goes after me, I'm not too concerned about that Flaming Arrow. If she gets rid of it, I don't know if I really care, to be honest. I'm more concerned that she destroyed my Wrath of the Forest, because that means I'm not going to have a draw. She does choose to go after me, and she does choose to kill the Death Mage Thaddeus with the Sandworm, which makes sense. So we get a card. Okay, we get an Infernal Gargoyle. So the move here is basically skip and play the Infernal Gargoyle, your only card in your hand. We are going to use my ability here because that way I'm going to be able to get rid of this Armored Sandworm. And, you know, okay, so you might be thinking, well, couldn't you have used the Death Mage Thaddeus's, or the Death Collector's ability here and gotten rid of the Armored Sandworm that way? I could have, yes. But then I'm not taking advantage of my Shadow Energy, I would say. You know, I would say both moves are fair, but I like getting out allies. I like having a board presence. You know, the way I did it, puts 3 allies on the board, and she has no cards on her end. So she's going to have to do something about the allies. That's why I like my play better than beefing up the Death Collector. You know, also, it's only at 3 health. You know, I don't know what card she has. She could have a card that destroys it, you know, that kills it. You know, beefing up my Death Collector here is only something I want to do, you know, if I can. It shouldn't be my main plan. Okay, let's get this Death Collector up really high. It's more something, oh, that's convenient. I can raise its attack because I have some leftover resources. Okay, that's really the point of that. But she's taking a long time here. And she does get a Dagger of Unmaking, which the only card she can retreat is the Death Collector, which plays more towards my advantage. Now, I do get a perfect shot, but I don't see any reason of sacrificing either one of those cards, so I am going to skip here. We are going to go straight for the hero. Because, you know, her Dagger of Unmaking isn't going to attack the Infernal Gargoyle or the Ironhide Crash. Which kind of, puts in my mind, okay, those cards are good at getting rid of weapons because of their abilities. We're going to play the Death Collector and end my turn. You play the Death Collector here because, there's no reason not to. She's probably just going to use the Dagger of Unmaking on it, but, it takes away, it doesn't do a damage against your hero, and, why not? I can't play the perfect shot. There's no reason to just keep it in my hand. She does play Fleet-Footed Messenger, which I'm not concerned with. It can't really damage me. It might help her get the card she's looking for, but I don't know. She is going to immediately retreat that Death Collector, which I expected, but, I don't mind. And we'll see what she does with this Fleet-Footed Messenger. So she's not going to use her ability. She's just going to attack and end her turn. Ooh, and see, now I get a Soul Seeker, which is just about the greatest card in this instance, I would say. That's not necessarily true. So we have two options here. We can sacrifice, I would say, the perfect shot. Well, I think I'd rather skip in this case. And just play the Death Collector. And, okay, so her hero is down to 11 health. And if you remember, if you watched the previous video in the match, I like saving my Shadow Energy. But in a case like this, I'm going to go straight for her. So I'm just going to use my ability and start damaging away. I mean, now she's at 9. And, I'm not worried about this Fleet-Footed Messenger. So I'm actually not going to attack it. It only does 1 damage. Her ability's okay, but there's a clock ticking on Serena now. And I'm going to go straight for her. And she's going to be put down to 5 health, which means if she can't do anything about some of my allies, it's game over. And I want to put her in that position where she has to do something, or she loses. And she quits because she realizes she doesn't get the card she needs. I don't know what card she would need. Maybe an Ankle Breaker. But that was the match. So let's take a look back at my deck and maybe look at some of my thoughts now that I've played this match. Now I'm going to be playing other matches and making more decisions based on these cards, but, now I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, Infernal Gargoyle and Ironhide Crash did a good job of, reducing damage from those weapons, and that's helpful. Maybe I can get rid of, the Leyline Nexus because of that, or, maybe get rid of the Acid Jet because of those cards if I choose to put those in. And I'm also thinking, okay, Death Collector, that was a helpful card. I realized, okay, it's a presence, it's a threat to the opponent because he has an ability that lets him get, to 4-5 to maybe even 5-6. And, the ability has to deal with that and he has to, make choices and stuff. I'm disappointed I didn't get my Magma Jackal or Woven Savage in this game, but what are you going to do? You just play more games and see if you like them or not. And yeah, so those are my thoughts now. So the next step I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying to put in at least 2 of an ally. So, okay, so I haven't been liking this Dark Flare, so maybe get rid of that and throw in another Ironhide Crash. I haven't been liking, Io Void Leviathan, that hasn't been a great card for me, so let's get rid of that. And, I've been liking this Fury and Terror. Let's put a second in there. And so that's going to be the next step, trying to get all the allies up to at least 2. But I'm going to stay away from putting any one at 3 yet, because I don't want to make too many decisions in each deck change. I want to make the deck changes really slowly is the goal. I want to play a match, maybe think of some things, play a match, play up to maybe 10, 15 matches, then make 1 or 2 changes. Then play 10 or 15 matches more. And, it's a long process. And, building a really good deck it's a long process. You have to know this game inside and out. And you have to be able to make decisions that you want and other such things. Okay. So join me next time. I should have an annotation right around now. If I've released part 3, you should be able to click on that and watch it. I haven't released part 3. Stay tuned. I'm planning on making, as many parts as it takes to finally build a good competitive Banebow deck here. Thanks for watching. Like always, I hope you like these tips, and comment, rate, and subscribe. It is much appreciated. Bye.